Hi everyone, welcome to another Hatton's Model Railway SkillsCast, where I show you some of the skills you need to transform your model railway into a really fantastic layout. These are some more of the basic skills we're covering today, looking at the installation of some of the first track on your layout. Now, those of you who've got train sets may be absolutely fine putting it down on a dining room table or a suitable floor surface, but if you're setting up a proper permanent layout, it is really recommended to attach your track permanently to make sure that it doesn't become displaced and just to make sure the running qualities are as good as they can be. So I'll be covering a few different methods today. We'll be looking at pinning down the track with and without cork underlay, also looking at some of the other foam underlays that are available and the pluses and minuses of gluing down your track with contact adhesive or PVA glue. So if you do have any particular questions, please put them down in the chat and I'll be answering them throughout the stream. Otherwise, I'll cover some of the basics and the top tips of the entry level of laying track. So, as you can see here, I've not got a huge amount of tools in front of me. I've got a trusty pin hammer, which we'll be using quite a bit today. If you're going for the glue, I have some PVA glue to hand. I also have a pin vise with a 1.2mm drill bit. I have an old brush and I've got a modeling scalpel there too. So all tools that are available from us should you need to pick up any of those, but you'll probably find that you have them in your collections already. So let's start with looking at the track with the cork base. So I'll just switch you over to the other camera and I've got a piece set up here. So we can see this is yet to be fastened to this particular piece. But the cork serves a really useful purpose. In fact, a number of useful purposes. It dampens the sound coming from the track. So when the locos run over it, it will be quieter, especially if you're running this in a room that you may share with others. It does reduce the noise of the model railway operating. It gives a firm base for the track to sit on. And also it has the chamfers on the side. So when you do ballast that, it does look a lot more authentic with the ballast rolling away from the side. So cork is one of the methods that you can use, and we'll be covering the exact shapes and sizes of this a little later, but right for now we'll start at the absolute basics. You can pick it up in rolls as you see here, and these come through usually a few feet and then that stretches out, and you'll notice that it's not pre-cut to sit under your layout. You can buy pre-cut pieces should you wish, but I'll show you today how to cut it and amend it onto your track. So I'll just switch you over. It's really easy to cut cork. One of the easiest things you ever will cut. So I'll put you back over. Getting our straight edge, we would measure the exact line that we need and then taking off the safety clip straight down and through along the side of the edge. And you'll notice that it comes away on its own there. It's really, really easy to cut. Only one cut did it there. So pressing down firmly, making sure you're up against your straight edge that you've measured, straight through, absolutely no issues. So making that there so it fits certain shapes, sizes, and pieces of track is really, really easy. So I have a piece here that I had almost ready, but I just had the last little bit to do. I would recommend adding a couple of millimeters each side just so you can recreate an authentic amount of ballast. So you can just see there I've left a little edge. I've not took it right up to the edge of the sleepers as per so. Just a little amount on each side. You can use your track here as a great guidance to be able to measure the widths and lengths that you do need if you have them already. If you don't have any track already, you can measure the pieces you need. The measurements are available online, and then you can cut your cork ready for your track. So that is about the length and width I need it there. So I'll take the track out of the way. And then one straight cut down the side of that straight edge. And I'll just move that into place so you can see the last cut. And that is absolutely ready there now. You can see that our track sits absolutely fine on top of that. It's not quite flat, but we'll certainly solve that during the process. So I have a small amount of one of our baseboards here. And this is what we will be using to represent our full layout today. And you can go straight down onto the baseboard if you wish. You can put your track straight onto your baseboard and leave it at that. You don't need the cork, really. It's a great thing to have. It does add the resilience to the track and it does reduce the volume too. So I really would recommend putting down some kind of track underlay. But if you wished, you can just pin the track straight to your board. In this case, however, I'm going to put the cork down. So I will switch you back over to the small camera. There we are. And all I'm going to do is just get some of my PVA glue, put that straight onto the bottom. And then I'm just going to make sure that's got a really nice and even spread underneath. Make sure you put quite a lot on to make sure it all sticks down. I'm doing this quite quickly today, but do spend a little bit of time on this to make sure. Put it exactly where you want it on your layout and press down really firmly. It will take a few minutes to dry, but you can see there that that has gone down and we're now ready to put our track on top. So we are ready to go. So we'll do that straight away. And I'll show you the first method, which we're going to use, which is pinning down the track. So this is the metal track pins that you can see available from various different suppliers, but we do have our own Hatton's Essentials models that you can see here. You get about 500 in a bag, and they're really cheap and inexpensive way to make sure your track is secure. So you can put that straight down, and I'll take you back to that small camera and you can see exactly what we're going to do here. I'll just open these up, get them ready. One good thing with these track pins, if you do have a little container for them to hand, just to make sure that they don't go everywhere, as you do get as you can see here, they're very, very easy to drop or misplace and lose. And you'll see on set track pieces that there's just a little hole in the track there for the pin to sit in. And you'll find that on Hornby's set track, Pico set track, and Bachmann set track too, in double O gauge, and N gauge. You can see the holes there. If you do need to add any holes, you can get your drill bit, and then I'll just move that away for 1 second. Just go straight down into the middle of the sleeper, twist, and put in your own hole. That, as again I mentioned, that is a 1.2 millimeter drill bit there. And then we'll just clean that up. Just make sure that's gone completely through. And you can see there we've added a new hole alongside the existing hole in our track piece. That is really good if you're using the Flexi Track or the Streamline points, which don't come with these locator holes, so you can put in your own track pins. Anyway, back to the board. So what we do now is we make sure we've really firmly got our pin placed in the hole, in the track, in the cork. Give it a few sturdy taps, and you'll find then a couple more that then is in line with the sleepers, and that is completely firmly secure in there. I'll just put one at the other end. We can pick them up. They are quite tricky to pick up sometimes, these track pins. Again, just making sure that's firmly secure in the other end. A couple of light hits to make sure it's there. And there we go. That is now in and secure. That is not going anywhere. Now the cork has stuck to the board and the track is now fully affixed to the cork. So that is one way of securing the track to your layout, whether you're using the set track with the holes already located in there, or you are using the Streamline track where you need to add the holes. It's just putting the cork straight down and then the pins into that. As a couple of you have mentioned already in the chat, there are alternatives to the cork that you can look at. The track bed that you see here from Woodland Scenics is one of those alternatives. And this is a foam underlay rather than a cork. So it's of a really high quality, and you do get the proper chamfers to the side, so your ballast will fall away. You can also find the pre-sleepered versions out there too, which have the holes in the underlay for your sleepers to fall into. Do bear in mind with the foam underlays that they are susceptible to heat. Can't think of a word. Susceptible to issues with heat, shall we say. So if they are in somewhere that has a lot of variation in temperature, you may find that they don't last as long as the cork. But the cork does need a little bit more work to give a better finish, especially if you're ballasting underneath it. So it really depends on where you are building your layout. If you're building it in a non-insulated room or a non-insulated loft, have a look at the cork rather than the foam, because you will find that it stands up to the temperature changes a little better. But let's have a look at another method now. We've mentioned it slightly, and that is gluing the track. So I'll just glue down our second strip of cork there. Again, you can do this directly onto the board if you wish, but it is recommended to add a little bit of cork if you can. So this is just standard PVA, which you can get from us and a variety of other places. Just again, making sure we get a really good spread on there. And I'll just flip you over to the smaller camera so you can see me press that down. And again, that's just taking really firmly on there. Now we'll push our pins out of the way because we don't need those for a second. We'll just put down a further bit of PVA on top of the cork if it wants to come out. There we are. So again, a really good covering of the PVA on there too. I'll just find a piece of track. Here we are. We get a really good spread of that PVA where the track's going to go. And then make sure our track is aligned straight down onto the board. So that PVA will dry clear. It will take a few minutes, so you might not be able to see the full results by the end of today's stream, but that PVA will dry completely clear and we'll have a very similar finish to the track that we pinned down beforehand. So that is certainly something to have a look at. And Paul, yes, the pins are 10 millimeters deep, and there are various different versions of these, whether you want the thinner pins or the thicker pins. So as you'll see, I'll just try and hold that up to the side. It'll go through the ply, it'll go through the track, through the cork, and into the ply with a little bit of distance to spare there rather. So you will have sufficient distance to put that into one of our boards or any other base boards that you do find. So either of those methods of laying the track are staying there permanently now, whether we've put the pins in or whether we have put the PVA down. But surely that results in one big question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of doing either method? Now, pinning down the track is a bit harder to pull it back up. If you are laying your track down permanently and you know exactly where it's going and where it's staying, then pinning is a really good method because it certainly will stay there. With PVA, it's possible to lift the track a lot easier by taking away the glue bonding, shall I say, and then lifting your track and relaying it. Just bear in mind again that as we had with the foam, the PVA can sometimes have issues when it comes to heat. So if you're putting it in an attic or you're putting it in somewhere that isn't insulated and has extreme changes of heat, maybe in the summer and the winter, PVA does set completely hard. So you may find that as your track slightly expands and contracts when the heat changes, the PVA does stick and hold it too tightly and causes it to warp a little. So bear that in mind if you are in somewhere that has quite a few changes of temperature. You can, if you want, use a contact adhesive rather than the PVA. This will give you that better heat insulation, But just bear in mind, with a lot of those type of glues, they do then start to eat the plastic of your sleepers. So just check out some of those glues. If you did want to use one, it is a little bit more risky, and make sure they don't have anything in them that will start eating the plastic. But if we go back to our board there now, you can see that this is starting to dry and starting to get a little clearer. I'll just push those pins out of the way. And you can see no issues with both of those staying on the board there. We can hold them up in pretty much any direction, and they are staying exactly where they need to be. In fact, I'll just put them on the main camera and show you them upside down. No issues at all with them staying in place. So a couple of different methods for you there. Some other top tips while I'm here. You can buy pre-cut pieces for some of the more tricky parts. If you don't feel quite up to cutting them yourself and you want to get the exact measurements and the exact sizes, Gauge Master and other suppliers do have set pieces for the different set track points. So you can see how they sit absolutely perfect on there. They work in exactly the same method. You can either pin them down or glue them down. Just bear in mind, if you are gluing the points, to leave a little bit of glue away from the connection. Or indeed, if you are having the underneath point motors, just to cut a little hole as required in the cork underneath. But it's really easy to cut the cork should you wish to change it over. As we said, it does come in a big roll, but then you cut it down to exactly the length you need. As do the foam track beds. They come in the set widths already, so you don't need to worry about how wide they are. You can bend them so they go on to curve track too. And all you do with them, again, is one simple cut just to make sure they are the length that you require before sticking them down, again, using a PVA glue or similar, and then attaching your track on the top, either with pins or glue at your preference. But that's basically all there is to it. That's the real simple way of getting started with track laying. Whether you want to look at different methods out there, there's a lot of books and a lot of things that we sell, so do take a look at that link in the description for more information. You can see here there's different methods. As we mentioned, you can put your track straight down onto the board should you wish. You could either put it on cork or put it on the board, as we see here, and you can attach that either with the pin or with the glue. It's really down to personal preference. I hope I've given you some of the different methods on there, and there are a couple of different options that you have and that could be suited to you. So do take a look at those. If you've any more questions at all regarding track laying or cutting the cork or any of the other methods I've shown today, please do ask them in the comments below, and I will certainly answer them after the stream. So do take a look at that. Everything you've seen here today, the foam, the cork, the track, the tools, the hammers, the whole lot is available right now from hattons.co.uk. So if you are thinking of getting track laying, we have everything you need to get you started. So click that link in the description for more information. As ever, do stay tuned to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page for more of these SkillsCast videos. We have more and more plans, so keep checking the website for the latest listings. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube page and like Facebook too for more videos, including real railway profiles, model overviews, and of course, we'll be covering all the latest model railway news too. So I'll give you one last quick look at the methods we've used there today, just as a quick reminder and an overview. So we've got the cork, we've used glue and the pins as alternatives. And if you wanted to, you can just put it straight down onto the board. And then we had the option of the foam underlay for these specific pieces, all of which are available now. So I hope you've learned a little bit of something today. I hope I've inspired you to maybe set up your track a little bit more permanently. And there's many ways to do it, which really do depend on where, when, and how you are setting up your layout. So do have a think about it. If you've any more questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with either me or the team, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.